Alright guys, let's give this another try shooting the video with a new camera. This is the gear for today. It's kind of all Stirling related. You can see it's all green. I could have done this particular shave on St. Patrick's Day with great effect, right? I unboxed recently on video. This is a Korat razor that was made for the wet shaving subreddit, a kind of a group buy, and we got them to put our little logo on there. And it's the kind of the finishing of the piggy bank razor that Korat has, but we altered the dimensions and stuff of the actual blade to go with the 14, to make it a 14. And so that 14 style that's kind of ubiquitous. And because a lot of people find that amazing, and so that was part of our request. What if we could come up with a straight that would be that? And so we call it the MOARTeen, because this brush was the MOAR BOAR. It's a Zenith B35, I think it is, basically, a 31 millimeter knot, bore knot, and we have a special, our logo is on there as well. We did a special order with that. And Stirling, Rod at Stirling Soaps was very critical in helping us to achieve that with the importation of the bore. There was so much paperwork, and just it almost didn't even happen because of all that. But thanks to him importing the brushes, renewing his license to do that, and all that stuff, it was he saved the day. And so that's why I'm going to be using Stirling soap today to accompany all these items. Not really a relation of Stirling to Stirling when we bought the Korat razor here. We intentionally wanted to get the scale color to be the same as the handle on the bore brush there, but he couldn't quite match that, and so we went with this kind of sparkly one. So Glastonbury is of the sheep tallow base, and that is going to come in handy today. I'm not a great straight razor shaver. I have had good experiences so far with straight razor shaving. Never hacked up my face or anything. A couple little small cuts, but nothing really that's a big deal. And so, but the sheep tallow is just, honestly, it really might be one of the best bases out there. It really might. And the fact that you can get it at a pretty bargain price is outstanding. It's crazy. And it's the reason why I have a bunch of tubs of sheep tallow that, who knows, I may never get around to using, but it's there just in case he ever stops making it. And it is harder. It's getting more expensive to get the sheep tallow. So that's a possibility. Okay, well, I got my face wet. Yesterday we shaved with the Wilkinson Sword Sticky, and it was a great shave. I really like this razor. Comfortable, mild, but it took down about 3 days of growth with no problem, and a nice close shave. So big thumbs up on that one. And let's just start up. He puts a really good edge on his, and so I'm not going to strop it before I use it, but I'm going to have to locate my strops and strop it afterwards. I haven't shaved with a straight in a couple of years now. So do not interpret this as any kind of lesson on how to use a straight. This is just you observing me, a straight beginner, but pretty much lathering expert. I mean, I would guess so. Good slick lather, good use of the brush. That part I can lay claim to having some authority on, but as far as straights go, there are plenty of guys out there that do better than me. My friend Greg Gallant is out there. He's done some honing and all kinds of straight razor videos. I think that awesome guy over in England who speaks kind of slowly. Man, his name escapes me. I just haven't had a lot of these names and stuff in my head in recent times. And so he does some straight stuff, I think, every now and then. Okay. The brush is going to be good to go. The razor is good. I think I am going to do the thing where I don't really rinse the blade, because that will keep water from getting down into the hinge area, and you don't want that. You don't want any kind of corrosion. And so you just wipe the blade on just a cloth and let those suds accumulate, and then wash it out at the end of the shave. And that way you're protecting your razor against corrosion and rust. And some people do a grip like this. I seem to find it a little easier to do the 2-finger on this side of the scales, and so you'll probably see me keeping on going with that. I do like the thickness of this, of the tang here, and that really helps me to control the tilt of it with a lot more security. This one doesn't have any jumps on it, any kind of almost marks or serrations to help with grip. The tail here is also fairly thick, and so it's nice and easy to grab. So that's good. Let's mix up some lather. This tub has been used before. This is Glastonbury, and so the scent notes are going to be a good bit of patchouli, those types of scents. And he didn't make a lot of scents in his tallow, lamb tallow base, but Glastonbury is one of them, because the certain scents do not work well with the lamb base. So we're just gonna, load for a little while until it, because I haven't loaded with this soap in a while, I'm gonna rake the excess down into the lather bowl, and let's load for just a little bit more. And I'll probably have tons and tons of lather, but soap is cheap, especially Stirling. But I usually use, when I've kind of got my timing dialed in, less than half a gram per shave, and so it lasts a very long time. I got my 3D printed lather bowl. I did not start out with as much water in my brush as I did yesterday, and we will see that difference in the lather. See, right away, we don't have that liquidy stuff, liquidy bubbly stuff that came first. And so that just means I need to, and I'm going to go ahead and be generous. Yesterday, I used about 20 milliliters plus what was in the brush at the start. And so I poured in 20 just now. Pretty confident that I'll need more, but we'll play that by ear. Yeah, so now we're kind of in the soupy, frothy milk phase. Can I tilt you down even more so you can see better? Yeah, that's a nice scent. Mitchell's wool fat from England was a very good lamb tallow option for a long time, for many, many, many years. But in the last few years, they have switched to a version, I think, that doesn't quite have the lamb tallow. You can see it's firming up. Gravity still affects it. As you can see, it creeps down, and that's just fine. Matter of fact, once I feel that this is properly mixed, I'm expecting it not really to be too affected by gravity, because I'm expecting to need to add a little bit more water. And so just because it's kind of creamy looking right now and looks really good, to me that doesn't necessarily mean I want to use it right now. I want to get a good mix first, and then it's when I start fine-tuning the water. This brush, these short stubby handles require a lot of grip strength, especially once the suds start coming up on the handle. See, you saw me earlier and I showed you how kind of liquidy it was. Well, it's starting to firm up, you see, because if I would have stopped earlier, it wouldn't quite have been mixed, you know, thoroughly. I mean, it would have been shavable, but we're looking at a nice creamy lather here. Had to take a break to cough and drink a little bit of water. See, so gravity's not really affecting this guy right now. And so I think I've probably given it about enough time to come together properly, to let the water in the brush. And that's one of the things about, you know, why if you had the consistency you wanted a minute ago, why keep stirring? Well, for one thing, the brush, some brushes hold a lot of water. And if you don't kind of mix for long enough, you don't let that lather circulate into the brush and replace that water, and then what can happen is that water in the brush, when you put it on your face and splay for the first couple of times, it just washes out your lather because all that water just didn't join up and be part of the lather. That's a good looking creamy lather. Let's just add a little bit more water and I think we're good. You can, of course, start with your brush. You know what? Let's add a little bit more than that. You can start your brush wetter and get to this point a little sooner. Speed things up a little bit. And of course, if I were to use this tub of soap consecutively, like a lot of you guys do, I'd just switch soaps too often. But if I were to use a soap consecutively, then you'll get the amount that you need to add, whether it's part of your brush and you only shake it off once and then that's how much water you need, or if you measure, like with a jigger like I use there, or something like that. Then you can, with soap, Stirling is another base where you can just add all the water up front. You don't have to gradually add it. There are a few soaps out there, don't remember which ones they are, but a few soaps out there that like for you to add the water gradually. All right, I think we're good. That's some good looking lather there. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's good. All right, get my face wet one more time. If you're new to straight razor shaving, one thing that I recommend is to do the easiest parts of your face first, cheeks, and then finish off the rest with another razor that you might like, that you know and love and use. And that way, because this is the more dangerous part, where you're more likely to nick yourself because of the curvature, the different, you know, veins and weak spots and strong spots and all that. Now, when I first started with that advice, I was going to heat it. But then I felt really good with how I was using the razor. And so I'm pretty sure I just kept going. And it's worked out. But feel free to just stick with the cheeks. I've not cleaned my face, so this is kind of that cleaning right now. Yesterday, I used Osma Alum for the first time. I do have some on hand here, and just for consistency's sake, I'm going to try it more than once. but it was pretty much just like the other alum from like Gentleman John, for instance, that I use. I mean, I'm sure this looks like a finer quality product, but it still gave me the same sting. So my friend Jeff online, I'm sorry, man, but it doesn't look like I'm going to be a convert. All right. Another thing is when you're straight razor shaving, the general recommendation is to have a lather that's more wet than you might usually do. But I feel like my lather game is kind of on point for that too, so I think I'm good. Now the alum could play a good part in a straight razor shave because you're lifting your skin. The tightening of your skin is something that you have to pay attention to much more seriously than when you're shaving with a DE razor. I have chosen to adopt the practice of using my right hand for the right side of my face, switching over, even though I'm not left-handed, but using my left hand for the left side of my face. Instead of some people will just keep the one hand. I wanted to maybe try to be ambidextrous in that sense. And so that means when you're doing the left side, your non-dominant hand, just go slower. Take your time, go slower. And a tip that I've been very happy that I've observed is to go with a small blade angle here instead of something, you know, sharp, because here if you make a mistake and you're a small angle, then you're just not cutting hairs if you're too small of an angle. But if you're too sharp at an angle, that's more likely going to kind of abuse your face a little bit, rough you up. So we'll see how I do using a 14 style razor. This was basically the blade of the Korat 14 2.0. But the finishing here, and I showed you on my unboxing video, you didn't quite finish a lot of the parts of the blade to the highest of standards, but that's okay because then that made the blade and that made the razor be more affordable. All right, here we go. You can reach across and kind of lift this up, which is really tricky for me because I've got glasses. You do have to be careful about nicking your ear over there. This is one of those things where you could definitely get some ASMR kind of stuff going on with the cutting of the hairs here. And because of the width of the blade, like you saw, it really doesn't take very long to take care of that whole side. My lather probably could be a little wetter, but I think I'm all right. I have to get my mirror in exactly the right place. One time I did cut myself because I was trying to position my blade in the right spot, and I ended up moving it back like slightly, just very slightly, but with a properly honed razor, that's enough to give you a little slice. So we're doing well, doing well. Now you know what? Let's kind of put on a little bit of wetness, and feel free to do this when you need to if enough time has kind of gone by. And that's good because when you're new like me, you don't want to speed it. You don't want to rush it. So just reapply some lather. Gotta be really careful over here. Oh, I just habitually rinsed the razor. And your muscles are not going to know what to do in the beginning, but that's okay. Just go slow. Now, when you get good at this, you can do those long strokes where you are being very time efficient, getting a lot of productivity with your movements. But that's not me yet. I've learned that when, and this is true with double edges as well as the straight here, if you've got creases in your neck like me, do not come at those parallel with the razor, with the blade. It's just too easy for the blade to get stuck in that crevice and then cause some damage coming out. Come at those at a little bit of an angle. And if you feel like maybe things are going a little bit tuggy, then just pause. Resume the next day. That way you don't rough up your skin to where you are having holdover problems from the previous day. If you cause a little bit of irritation, enough irritation where it does give you problems the next day, then it's probably best to switch back to something that's more reliable for you until your face kind of recovers. Right now I do feel a little tender on my face, but that's all right. So now a little rinse. And that cool water, nice and refreshing. One of the things I like about straight razor guys is that they don't really tolerate crappy soap bases. And so one like Barrister and Mann or Stirling or Mammoth that can hold a lot of water and be slick, you know, and still be creamy and luxurious feeling, then those have a lot of credence, a lot of weight in the straight razor circles. But some of the other ones that, like MDC, for instance, by the time I add enough water into Martin de Condre's base, then it loses its creaminess. That said, I'm sure there are some straight guys out there that like MDC. Gotta try to find a space where I can look through the gaps here. I was able to find it before. Maybe just let's just feel for it. Oh, maybe I could see it before because I was pulling up on my skin. Oh, see, now this is a much smoother experience on this second pass. Very nice. Rinse the blade again. Old habits die hard. The smoothness here does give you a feeling, and I'm guessing that I'm using the right angle, because hairs are getting cut and it's fairly comfortable. Maybe a straight razor shaver is able to knock down everything in just 2 passes. The rules, might be a little different with this type of shaving versus double edge. And sometimes you have to be thoughtful. Sometimes you may have to open your razor up like this to be able to reach into a certain area. You have to consider your angles a lot more with a straight. And just take your time and do that. See, that just feels really good. I'm going to resist the temptation to do that stroke until I kind of re-angle everything here. There we go. Got a little bit of red over there, maybe a little tiny weeper or something. And see, you can just reach and smooth your lather around. And I think that is going to be it. I think if I push too hard and try to get a closer shave, then I will just end up stirring up irritation, kind of messing myself up for the future. So I'm going to play it safe. All right, very good. Well, I like the big format razors. I tried one. It was a near wedge before, and I really, really enjoyed that. I like the big sizes. Big doesn't necessarily mean better. The smaller ones are better if you have to shave under your nose, for instance, and all that. So each has its own shaving feel and type. The grind here, this is a pretty hollow grind. The thicker grinds give a different feel that some people may prefer. It's all relative. Very good. I'll give myself a good rinse here. One thing that came to mind just now was that, to me, as I was shaving, this did not give me too much of a different feel than some of my vintage straights. It didn't offer me something new, something different. Because, see, a lot of these modern razors, this is similar to the piggy bank razor from Korat that is more budget priced. But, Korat makes razors that are, $300, $500. Probably more. That's so way out of my price range that I don't even know how many offerings they have at that point, But other makers of modern ones can get really, really expensive. And a lot of times they're beautiful and they're probably worth it, to people who can spend that kind of money. But if you were to find a good one, and there's lots of good steel out on eBay, just have to do your research first. And then you send it off to somebody to put a good edge on it. And then from that point on, you can use your leather strop to keep that edge refined until 100 or 200 shaves, and you have to have it rehoned again. So that's one thing that just jumped out at me right now was, you don't have to get a modern one if you want. If you find a good vintage one that costs a lot less, just have it honed and you're good to go. And see all that stirring I did, and I still have tons of lather, and that's pretty typical. Lots of 2-3 passes of lather here. Now, dare I take a more mutilated face than usual and try this Osma block again? Okay, just for grins. Jeff, this is for you. I like to show hot ones and how, and usually at the end of the show, the guys their mouths are on fire and numb and all that stuff, and they hurl epithets at Sean, the host. I hate you, you know, F you, Sean, all this kind of stuff. And so that may be where I'm directing my attention here in a second to Jeff and all the other guys who are trying to get people to use Osma. I rarely ever have stinging on my cheeks, but over here on this right side, I definitely have some. Yeah, that's just a lot of stinging. Not fun. But I guess if you're kind of a sadist, then this is one way to go. But yeah, you suck, Jeff. This is not enjoyable. Osma. Oh, blows chunks. I'm not a fan. But no, it doesn't seem to be too different than Gentleman John, Alum, or any of those other guys. It may be more refined, but it still produces the same feeling on my face, which I don't enjoy. Also, if you have dry skin, best to skip the alum. It'll just make your skin worse. So that's some advice. It is good for wetting your fingers and then rubbing it on a little bit of alum for straight razor shaving, because even if your face is still slippery from the shave, you can still be able to grip your skin and move it around and safely tug at it. So there we go. Oh, the Glastonbury is always nice. That's a good one. What? I feel like a balm after today's shave. Ooh, full measure of Mann from Barrister and Mann. Oh, I bet that will go with the patchouli, you know, pretty well. Oh, that smells so good. Very good. It's so funny. I've been out in the shaving thing for a while, and some of the soaps that I've bought to show you guys have been sitting around for a couple of years. And so to me, like Barrister and Mann's Midnight Special has been sitting around. Dr. John's Runaway, and another one from Dr. John, maybe Black Rose or Guns N' Roses or something like that. Both those have been sitting around waiting to be shown to you for a couple of years. And so to me, they're going to be new, but to you guys, they are going to be, in some cases, discontinued. So that's kind of funny. But I did buy the Dr. John's when I heard that he was going out of business. So I guess that's just the nature of the beast there. All right, very good. I used up about 25 milliliters of water for that shave, in addition to what was already in the brush. I did give it a good shake, so not as much as usual was in the, not as much as yesterday. It wasn't a full brush, so that's why I had to add a little bit more. So that's the data there. This is the brush, the boar brush, after I gave it a good stropping on the towel. And this is how it looks after a few minutes of hair dryer treatment. Hot temperature but low speed, kind of across the tops. And then we're using the tip of the hair dryer to kind of break up the clumps. Not getting crispy and dry. A few clumps still remain. But hopefully that helps the brush to break in a little quicker, get those tips to split and be more comfortable. since I use a lot of different brushes, I feel like I need to use some kind of shortcut method on my boars to get them to that point a little quicker, because sometimes it can take 100 or 200 uses, you know, to get them to where they achieve a whole next level of softness, right? All right, well, I think we are good to go. Bowl is clean. Yeah, I did wipe most of the, you know, soap off the blade onto the towel. So I'll rinse that out, give that a rinse, and then hang that up to dry. And I'm happy I did that. Didn't have to worry about the water, you know, getting into the blade. And as you can see, I mean, maybe I started running out of spaces. So maybe I need to make sure more of the surface is available for me to use. But I think that's a good way to go. All right, thank you so much for watching. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Good night.